We are getting ready to get the show on the road. And again, I want to thank everybody for coming on to the Smart Twitter Talk Show. And again, today we're going to be talking about how to get more Twitter followers, but not just any Twitter followers. We're actually going to talk about how to get relevant Twitter followers because that's more important than the followers, just any old followers. So before we get started, of course, again, if you have any questions, just put the /Q and then the space and then put your question. We're going to be answering questions during our Q&A session. So just make sure you put that there. We're going to get to as many questions as possible. All right. And then, make sure you have your water, you got your notebook because we want you to take notes because we have a lot of good information for you and we don't want you to miss out because I always like to give actionable tips that you can use that you can take immediately after you leave this show and start using it directly on your profile. So make sure you got your notebook out for that. Now, before we get started, we'll just let's do a little bit of an introduction first, Thomas. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, good afternoon. My name's Thomas Clark. I am the owner. We have an agency here in Charlotte called Charlotte Social 360. We're based here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And what we do is we save businesses we believe a tremendous amount of time and a learning curve that they want to really get their social media professionally managed, as well as we take care of their reputation as far as, making sure that, if there's anything, bad reviews and things of that nature, as well as getting you listed in the directories and things of that nature, we take care of that for our for business, small business, and we work with some large brands, but mostly small and medium businesses nationally.
All right. And again, Thomas is out of North Carolina. So he's at the North Carolina office. My name is Elizabeth Hall, for those of you that don't know me, and I've dubbed myself your extraordinary Twitter marketing specialist. And I specialize in all things that are Twitter related. And I show business owners how to increase their followers, which is something that we'll be talking about today. And also, I teach them how to engage their followers in a meaningful way so that they can develop relationships. And then they'll be able to guide their followers off of the Twitter network to where I call the magic happens. And so this will increase their website traffic. And again, it will increase conversions as well. So I show them how to do that using Twitter marketing techniques that I know work. I'm also the Amazon author of the Dig Deep and Excel Twitter Marketing Action Sheets Guide and the facilitator and CEO of the TwitterMasteryLab.com. So I always say I'm not only just a trainer, but I love teaching people what I know. I love helping people. And that's one reason why we started this show to begin with, because I love teaching people and helping them. And so I teach people, business owners, from a user's perspective. So I don't just, go out and learn things. I actually use these things. And both me and Thomas, we try to teach people what we know works. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about how to get more Twitter followers. And again, not just any followers, but we're going to be talking about how to get relevant followers. Now, also, I briefly mentioned this before, but if anybody's interested in receiving 50% off of Twitter training, just stay on to the end, and I'm going to show you or tell you how you can do that. So stay at the end of the call. I have something special for you all. All right. Now, we're going to post up the link to subscribe to the next show if you haven't already done that. So our next show will be same time, same place. here. Well, it'll be a different link. So we're going to put the link there and you can subscribe to the next show. And also, if you are not following us, you can do that by just look up over our heads, or we'll do like that. Up over our head, you'll see our name and our Twitter handle. And right next to it, if the little man's background is still white, that means that you're not following us here on Blab. So you can do that by just checking him off, and then he's going to turn a color. I don't know which color he's going to change today. And then you'll be notified when we have more shows. So you can go subscribe, or you can also follow us. So you can do that by just clicking that little button up there. Also, again, be a resource to your community. And that's a great way for you to get more followers. And to do that, you're going to hit the tweet button. So if you go over here to the left-hand side of your screen, then you will see the little blue tweet button, and you just hit that, and then you'll hit it again to tweet out this particular show to your followers, because again, we're going to have some great information on the show today. All right.
Okay. So I mean, maybe we should talk about the agenda, or just in the round rules.
Yeah, let's talk about the rules. So on the me and Thomas, we like rules. And so we just have a few things, and it's not a deal breaker for the show, of course. We're going to talk about over in the chat, play nicely in the chat. We don't like trolls. We know how trolls are. They come in, they say whatever they're going to say, and they jump out. But no cursing, because I always like to say this is a family business show. So no cursing. The show is going to be approximately 1 hour long, and we're going to have questions and answers after we go over our topics, because we like to stay pretty much laser focused and make sure you get good information. So we'll have our questions and answers at the end. So again, if you have any questions, make sure that you put /Q, then a space, and then your question. And we're going to try to get to as many questions as we can, because we got a lot of questions already rolling in, which is fantastic. All right. So again, we're going to be talking about how to get more relevant Twitter followers. So I wanted to just ask you all this question, and we already asked the question of, we kind of took a poll, so to speak, and asked people to give us like their Twitter IQ. So again, I want to find out like how many of you find it difficult to attract Twitter followers with your profile. So again, we're going to use the scale of 1 to 10, 1 being it's very difficult to attract Twitter followers in your opinion, and 10 is not so difficult. You kind of know what to do, and so it's not hard for you. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how difficult is it for you to attract the right kind of followers? And again, don't be afraid. We don't shame people. This is not a public shaming forum. We don't judge people. We're just trying to find out about
no
you.
Judge zone.
Yeah, more about you and your needs when it comes to the material that we have. So we want this to be good information for you. So we got a couple of 1s and a 2, so that people are finding it difficult. Don't be afraid. All right, we're still on the low end of the spectrum, and that's fine, because we're going to be able to help you today. So we're going to give you some good stuff today, so that you'll be able to really start getting the followers that you need. So let's talk about like some of the blockades first, before we give out some the unique tips that we have. We'll talk about some of the do's and the don'ts for following, and some blockades that probably may be hindering you when it comes to getting the right people to follow you in the first place. So you want to start, Thomas?
Yeah. So I guess there's a couple things, I guess, for me. Are you looking at things like primarily when people like a account that's protected, things of that nature?
Yes.
Are kind of it's kind of a no. That's a showstopper for me. I don't know why when I see those protected accounts, I just feel, well, at least in my experience, it just seems like almost like why are you on why are you on Twitter? You know, I mean, because it's like it's a social media, and people sometimes forget the social part. So you're going to
Mhm.
protect your account. That's a one that's a showstopper for me. It's the ones that are also for me. Even some of the automated, and I know we're going to get a lot of controversy here about some of the automated tools, the DMs and things of that nature. It's just I don't know. It's just, and people that use like those validation things, like
Mhm.
True Twit and things of that nature. I typically just won't follow them back.
Right.
Period. That's just me, and I think most people respond that way, and they think it. I mean, from the user side, it's good, right? I mean, because you think, okay, I'm automating this; it's going to be easier. But I'm telling you, you got to think about your audience, your community. And if you're hearing somebody who's been doing social media tell you when you use those validation I mean, for me, it's a showstopper. I just don't follow them back at all.
Yeah, and you brought up like a couple of things, but yeah, let's talk about the validation services. Now I know that there's
Mm.
one in particular, and I won't say their name, but there's one that I always
Okay.
get when I'm actually
Bad,
following
bad, bad.
people, and so it's like as soon as I follow them, I get that what you were talking about, that robot, that automatic tweet that comes back. And basically, what it says is that it'll say, I use this validation service, and you need to click on the link for me to follow you back. So I know we kind of discussed this before, and you said that you had used it before, like when you first started. Can you kind of tell us about that?
Yeah, actually, when I first started on Twitter, I actually used a validation a service. A matter of fact, I shouldn't call the name, but both of them both do it the same way. But the thing was, I didn't think about my community, right, and the people I was trying to get to buy my services and really follow me, look at my content, and finally a young lady called me actually one day, which I thought, wow, this is interesting, and she said the only reason I followed you back and went through all those hoops is because I went to your LinkedIn profile, and normally I wouldn't do that. She said I wouldn't have done that. I just wouldn't have followed you at all when I saw that. And I thought, wow. I mean, it really struck me that, and she would have been someone that I would have really looked at potentially as a client,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I thought, okay, I got to pay attention to this, right? And so I started, doing some Twitter polls. I started doing, well, it wasn't polls at that time. I just kind of did a little survey with some people that I knew and asked them, I said, well, how do you feel about that? And I was getting so much negativity
Mm-hmm.
about it. I thought, it just is not worth it. It's just not worth it if your user community is seeing no value of it. And then after a while, I thought about it. I said, well, I was a little bit selfish because I was thinking about making it easier for me instead of a value for my community. They had to sign up for, something they didn't really
Mm-hmm.
want to sign up for and things of that nature. So think about that. And I would really encourage you really not to use those validation services, really. I mean, because I haven't really seen a whole lot of benefit for the community for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of benefit probably for the person doing it, but for your community, it's not very much.
Mm-hmm.
That's been my experience.
Yeah, and I've never used the validation services myself, but I get the direct messages all the time when I'm following people. And for me, I've I've went and I've looked to see what it was, and basically you click the link and it takes you over to that validation site, and they may ask you to fill out a capture, and that's where they have like the letters on the screen, and then you have to type it out, or you may have
Mhm.
to sign up for the service yourself in order to be accepted,
Right,
and then that person knows that
right.
you're a real person. So basically um, it just wants you to validate that you're a human. But to me, in my
Mm,
opinion, okay, I'm following strangers already. We have no relationship to each other to begin with,
right.
and then you're
At that
asking me
point,
to leave the
it's like,
Twitter profile and go through all these extra steps just to follow you. And if you are a business owner like me, time is of the essence. Time is always against you. I don't have time to, like, click here, click here, click here to follow somebody that I have no relationship with. So you know what I do? I just ignore it. So if I follow somebody and I get that little DM, I just delete that DM and I just keep it trucking. And it's no skin off my teeth if they don't follow me back. Because after a certain amount of time, then they'll get dumped. So it's like one of those kind of relationships. So yeah,
I agree.
I agree with you, Thomas. I would definitely not use the validation services. Again, you're asking people to go through lots of steps and they don't have a relationship with you to begin with. So that's a huge blockade for that. All right. So also something that I don't think you mentioned yet was about buying followers. And there's something about the purchasing of followers. It's a little bit of a debate on around the internet. So some people will say, yes, you should buy followers, especially when you first start, to kind of show social proof. And what we mean by social proof is that, when someone looks at your account, they'll see that you have lots of people, and then maybe they'll follow you too, because it looks like, you have an active account. So you have to be careful with that. I would say, in my opinion, no, do not follow. What do you think, Thomas?
As far as the buying of followers at all, well, no. At the end of the day, I've seen people do it. I mean, you got to even think about the Twitter service. I mean, you start getting too aggressive with that stuff and start unfollowing people. Say you buy 50,000 users, and then all of a sudden one day you have none, and then the next day you got 50,000, right? I mean, that, first of all, that just kind of looks weird, right? I mean, if they're following you and things, and then people are looking at your scenario. But I mean, the buy followers, I mean, I've seen people do it, and I've even heard in certain countries, in cultures, that is acceptable. Some people have told me that. I just haven't really seen any real value at the end of the day for you to buy these people that have no relationship with you. They have no relationship with you, your business. They don't necessarily understand what you do. They are what I would call, they even worse than what I would call the hanger-oners. So we'll talk about them a little later as well. But they, it's just, I mean, what is the value? I mean, I would ask the person that's buying these, what are the value of these people that you're buying that don't know nothing about your business? You're not having any engagement. They're like just sitting out there. They're like, okay, I bought these people. I don't know. I don't know. Some people, I guess, it's just enough to say I got followers, but I haven't seen the followers do anything at the bank.
Yeah.
I mean, usually when I go pay my mortgage, they don't say how many followers do you have, right? They want to know. I mean, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I guess I don't understand the social proof statement.
Yeah. And also with the buying of the followers, and we always try to teach people that analyzing or looking at your Twitter analytics, even on a limited basis, even if you don't know a lot about it, you can get like a lot of customer demographic information on there. So when you're just buying followers, which basically is probably a lot of junk followers, it's really going to skew your stats to begin with. And also, you're not going to see any engagement, because these are not people who really care about the content that you're posting or the products and the services that you have. So you have to really be careful about buying followers, because again, it's all about relevancy. And when we say relevant, we mean these are people that they are looking to your brand for what you have to offer, how you can help them. So it's not even about how you are, what you have to sell to them or the services. Is about how you can help them. So it's all about the follower. So if you have junk followers, that's all it's going to be. It's just a bunch of junk. It's not going to do you any good at all.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Yep.
And so,
I would agree on
go ahead, Thomas. I'm sorry.
that. I just said I was giving you an amen. Basically, I said I definitely agree on that.
Mhm.
It just no benefit
No
whatsoever.
benefit.
So I mean, I've seen people go out and do it, and I guess they feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
So be it.
Yep. Now, I would still say though, and I hope you agree with me, Thomas, on this one. I would still say follow a lot of people. So, do you agree with me on that one? Uh-oh, I think Thomas, are you froze? You thinking about it?
You have to repeat that again. I lost you totally.
I would say I would still say follow a lot of people.
Oh yeah. Well, hmm. I guess this is where we differ a little bit. I think you should follow as many people as you want, especially in the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got about 32,000 followers now, but so I'm getting very picky about my follow back,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't mean and that I don't mean to sound arrogant or anything. I want to follow people that are like, put it this way, I'm not going to follow a hooker back, right? I mean, I mean, somebody got a picture. Because I mean, I look at
Mm-hmm.
their profile. I look at a whole lot. I mean, I'm not gonna, I mean, maybe some people would, but I just look for some relevance to
Mm-hmm.
somebody of mine. I'm not gonna follow a 12-year-old kid back, right? I mean, maybe his daddy or mother that owns a business could buy something. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not going to follow back just for the sake of following. So I say I'm very particular. Even if they follow you, to me it's okay not to follow back. And now some people say it's not. They think that the etiquette is you follow me, I follow back. And I'm not going to follow you back if there's no relevance at all. I don't find that all the time, but I mean, when I find something that's just like an egg or something like a 12-year-old kid, no, I'm not. So I don't know. Maybe you and I differ. Do you just follow everybody back no matter what?
No, I don't. But I do say follow lots of people. And
Hmm.
a really good strategy and a tip for you all is to actually like just, carve out just a little bit of time every day to follow people. And when you
Hmm.
do follow people, just really look at their bios. If you have time,
Hmm.
you want to try to look at their bios and see what it's all about. Because just like Thomas said, the hookers stand out. They stand out like a sore thumb. The people that sell followers, they stand out like a sore thumb. And I'll tell you, there is that unsaid you follow me, I follow back type thing. And
Hmm.
again, I'm with you on that one, Thomas, too. I do not just follow everyone back because then there's certain criteria that I go by when it comes to following people in the first place and following
Well,
back. And some of
yeah.
those are like their header. That's that big, the big image that goes across the top of the page. If that's just the default blue, I might follow you back. It depends on the rest of the information that you have. Then, if you're just an egg and that's the default profile picture that looks like an egg, then definitely I'm not going to follow you or follow you back because that means you're not very active. You could be spammy. You don't really care about your profile. And then your bio. It really depends on what your bio says. A bio speaks volumes, and that's why you need to have your bio filled out completely. You have 160 characters to say what you got to say. So be concise and witty. So when people look at your bio, then they'll know if you're they can kind of tell if you're a real person. They can get an idea of if you're a real person. And you can also look at what people are tweeting as well to
Right.
see
Yeah.
if they're people that you want to engage with and follow
Yeah.
back. Now, of
Mhm.
course, it's a wide net that you're throwing out there, and you're going to catch some unsavory characters,
Yeah.
and
I would
not on
say.
purpose, but you might catch some unsavory characters by mistake. And I'll tell you, what has happened to me before, and it continues to happen when it comes to that wide net, is I'll follow somebody. I'll follow. I'm just going to use you for an example, but this has not happened on Thomas's account. I'll just keep that clear. So I might follow Thomas because, I look at everything and everything's in line. He's a plus. So he gets a thumbs up. I'm going to follow him. And then for some reason, he retweets something that is not so nice. It might be, could be a cartoon that's, very offensive. It could be some porn. And I've had my eyeballs burned out several times looking through my feed for something that somebody retweeted. Like it wasn't from their feed, but they retweeted it by accident, maybe. Yep. And so I had to pretty much just block them right away. Whatever it was retweet, I just blocked them. So that's a blockade right there. You're retweeting information without really checking what you're retweeting. So you have to be really careful about that. So always look before you start retweeting people's stuff, because again, I done had to block many people because my eyeballs are still burning right now. Got my glasses now. They burn my corneas off.
That's an excellent point, Liz, about you do have to read. Well, I actually read people's feeds. I do. I go down and read because I like to see a little bit what they're tweeting, with the 80-20 rule and things of that nature. I like to read what they're tweeting about, if I, because sometimes sometimes I'll see somebody, I'll say I'm a little marginal about whether I'm going to follow them. I almost want to put them in a maybe list or something. But if I read their feed, sometimes the feed can really give me the yay or nay real quick, right? I'll just take the time. So I think it's, I guess the real point here is take the time to read people's bio, put a professional picture. I mean, your logo's fine as well, because I actually have had both sides of that. When I'm a prime example, I had my Charlotte Social 360 logo for the longest. But the thing was interesting is people that didn't know me, when they saw the name, they first of all thought I was a woman, right? And then when I would come on, they're like, "Well, you're not Charlotte." No, I'm Thomas, right? So I think a picture, I think I've seen the picture for me, and I think for most people works the best. The logo still will work, but I say if you're going to do a logo, do about me or do something about you where they can actually see you, a picture of you, right? So in your bio and things in there. So that's important. Make sure that picture's there. Make sure your feed's right. And, you're right. On the retweets, you may see something that looks interesting, but, really read that stuff before you start retweeting it, because sometimes there's some characters out there that you just don't think, wow, right? You didn't think that they would do that. And then you could really be put in a bad position because you just retweeted something that you didn't read at all.
Because your reputation is on the line, right?
That's right. Think about it. I mean, because they're not gonna think about the person who did that. They're gonna think about you, right? Because you retweeted it.
Yep. That is You just got to be careful with those guys. But again, sometimes that just happens. And I don't think people should get discouraged when they see some crap coming over. That just happens. Not all of the people that you follow, even if you follow a lot and you're as careful as you can be, not all of them are going to be within your customer demographic. So just know that. But some of them, most of them could be your brand ambassadors. So you're really counting on that exponential reach for your tweets. If you have valuable and great content, people will retweet your stuff, and then it goes beyond your feed and it goes into other people's feeds for their followers as well. So that's really important. Now Thomas, you also talked a little bit about the protected accounts. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit more about protected accounts, because I think that's like a huge blockade when you are trying to attract followers and get the right people to follow. But before we talk about the protected accounts, for those of you that kind of came on after we started a little bit late, I just wanted to kind of let you know that today we're talking about how to get more Twitter followers, and not just any Twitter followers, but we're talking about how to get relevant followers, because that's more important than getting 1 million followers. It's more important to get 100 relevant followers. So that's what we're
That's right.
talking about
Absolutely.
today. And so, again, my name is Elizabeth Hall with Smart Office Help Social Media Agency, and I teach
My name.
and consult business owners to connect with the right people on Twitter. And I teach them how to communicate with those people in a meaningful manner so that they can get, the maximum engagement. And then I show them how to guide their followers off the Twitter network to where the magic happens, which is either their brick and mortar store or it could be their website. So that's super important. And would you like to reintroduce yourself again, please, Thomas?
I would. Thank you, Dorm. Dorm says, she said, this should become a catchphrase. You're not Charlotte. Yeah, I thought about that, Dorm. But my name is Thomas Clark. I am the owner of Charlotte Social 360, which is the name of our agency. We primarily we manage the social media presence for businesses and brands, and we look at their reputation. I usually like to start there. Things like, if there's any bad reviews out there, cleaning them up, things like getting you listed in all the local as well as national directories that are appropriate to you, as well as managing your social media marketing, management, and monitoring of all the social media presences online that are applicable to the business. With the end game is to get you more clients.
All right. And this topic kind of goes along the lines of reputation management too when it comes to getting more Twitter followers, because the things that you post to attract people in the first place and the images that you put out there, it's all part of your reputation management as well. So you have to be careful with that.
Well, let me just say one thing there, Liz, while you're talking about the reputation piece. A lot of times what I do find, and I would suggest that just as a tip for people on here, Google yourself, Google your business, find out what's going on out there, because sometimes it's amazing to me. People don't really know that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You might not even be cognizant that it's there. So I would suggest just Google yourself for one thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, Google's the big behemoth, so just see what's going on out there about your business.
Yep. All right, so we're going to continue on. We're talking about some blockades, and then we're still going to give you guys some more tips to getting more Twitter followers. But we want to talk about protected accounts when it comes to that's a huge blockade for any business owner who has set up a Twitter account. And so a protected account, basically you go into your settings and you tell Twitter that you don't want any communications with anyone who you have not approved. So they can't read anything in your feed, and they can't communicate with you. They can't send you a tweet. They can't send you a direct message, nothing. Now they can try to follow you. And what happens is that follow will go into pending status. And once it's in pending status, whoever has the protected account, it's up to them to say, okay, well, Thomas wants to follow me. He can follow me. Or they say, I'm not really worried about him right now. And in that case, we'll just stay in the pending. Now, personally, if I see that someone has a protected account, I just keep it moving. I don't have time to mess with them. I don't know them. I don't have a relationship with them. They don't have one with me. So they may not even allow me to follow them. So I just kind of keep it moving. So that's not really a good business practice. Yeah. Right, Thomas?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's basically, think about it. It's like, you send me your stuff. I'm going to check you out. Maybe I'll follow you back. And it's like they don't want you to see their tweets. They don't want you to see anything about them. So I guess I would ask, why are you even on social media? Period. I mean, why? So like I said, for me, when I see that, and if I even see in the feed that I followed them by mistake, I unfollow them, right? It's just we're not going to have any engagement, right? Because I can't see what they're tweeting. They, you know, they want me to send them some sort of, I guess, DM or some message about whether I'm acceptable, I guess. And I'm figuring,
Mhm.
okay, you should be able to know whether I'm acceptable by what I'm tweeting, the reputation. Look at my bio, things of that nature. If you
Right.
like what I have, engage. If you don't, keep it moving.
Mhm.
Basically, that's the way I look at it. So
Yeah, and also, I don't think people realize that those businesses that put their accounts on lockdown. Now, they may have their reasons for putting their accounts on lockdown, but if whenever you put up a profile, a Twitter profile, and it's going to be business related, you
right.
have to understand that they're going to use your account for customer service purposes. So if it is protected, there's no way that you can field any customer service inquiries, and that could be like a huge deal breaker for people that are who are already your current customers and people who want to contact you for business. So there's no way they can get to you unless you hand pick them to get in there. So it just doesn't make
You
sense. So I would definitely not recommend people use a protected account.
let's say I say we'll keep going here. Let's say hello to Gerald DeBose. I just saw him jump in. How you doing, my man? I don't, nothing else. I mean, I don't think it's really much else to say about the protected account thing, Liz. I mean, I just don't see any value. I mean, like I said, if you're going to protect yourself, I mean, I'm just trying to think if you were in the assignment, like you were like the CIA or something in the government agency, even their accounts aren't
Mhm.
protected like that. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I can't for the life of me come up with any logical reason why anybody would want to protect an account and be on Twitter or social
Mhm.
media, period. I mean, I just don't understand the benefit. Uh, Maybe I should talk to one of the people one time and find out because they perceive that that's some benefit.
Yep.
I don't,
So
and I don't understand.
and I agree with all those things on the protected account. We probably beat that horse to death. But
Yes, we did.
the bottom line is don't have a protected account. It does no good. Doesn't do you any good if you're going to be running a business and using Twitter for your marketing. So now
So,
we wanted to like give people some tips also on how to get more followers as well. So I hope you guys got your notebooks out. So we got some more good stuff for you as far as getting more followers. And again, we talked about don't buy your followers because buying followers is no good. And I always tell people don't be afraid to follow a lot of people, but just be careful who you follow. So you may want to, as an actionable item again, you can sit down, you can do this while you're watching TV, take your laptop
mhm.
and you'll just follow like a certain number of people every day. You can do like maybe 50 people every day you can follow and make it relevant people that you're following and not crappy people. And I know sometimes it's hard to figure out who the relevant people are, but you do the best you can. Use the Twitter search to help you out with that. And then you'll be able to get your following going. And also make sure that you look at the bios before you follow people. That's a huge thing. Continue to tweet other people's content, but just be careful what you're tweeting because you don't want to be offensive
Mhm.
to your audience. And
Mhm.
always keep that unsaid Twitter rule thing in mind. And you don't, it's I follow you, you follow me back, but it's not, set in stone. So don't feel obligated to follow someone just because they followed you back. You can still take a peek at their information, and then you'll know that they're good people. Uh, hopefully they're good people that you can follow and get some good information from them as well. Don't protect your accounts because that's a huge
Mhm.
blockade. And we really suggest that you don't use validation services because that's another huge blockade. Also, people will just keep it moving if they have to do more than the step of just hitting the follow button to follow you. And then just be careful again what you retweet as well. Now, we just want to
So,
also find out if you all are enjoying, if you're getting good value from the show today. If you are enjoying the show, put a 1 in the comments or over on the chat. So if you're enjoying the show, put a 1 over there. Don't be shy. This is an interactive show. We want to make sure that we're giving you guys good information, good focused information. Whenever you come on our shows, you're gonna get focused Twitter information.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that you all are getting that. So that is great. So everybody is enjoying the show. So we are going to keep it moving. Did you want to say something, Thomas?
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to add to that when you talk about the followers, even like if you're following somebody you deem as an influencer, right, or somebody that you want to engage with, like you say, like in social media, it'd be somebody like a Ted Rubin or somebody that's been around quite a while around the social media. I think that's a great thing to do, but I also would say read their feeds, right? Because read who they're following, see who they're following, right? It's always nice to see who Ted thinks a lot of, right? Read their look at their lists. I know we talked about lists last week and we're on followers today, but there's just few little quick tips when you talk about influencers. I don't like the word expert, but when you think somebody has a lot of, I would say expertise. I'm
gonna use that word. I'm an expert.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Well,
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
If you think somebody is give a lot of value, they're very helpful, follow that individual and like I see who they're following. Once again, it's always interested to. I always find it interesting when I talk about influencers or people that I have a lot of respect for their expertise in whatever part of social media or even outside of social media that they're in.
All right, so we're going to quickly go through some tips for you guys to get even more Twitter followers, because, just outside of just going on Twitter and just picking some people, there's some other ways that you can actually get more followers. And the first way is to attract followers, and I call them your organic followers. And the organic followers are people where you don't have to do a lot to get those followers. They're just attracted to your profile. And some ways to attract them to your profile is to have excellent content. So not just when we say valuable content, that means content that your followers can actually use. Like we're giving you actionable items that you can use. We put those type of things in our Twitter feeds as well. And so you want to put things like educational information, you want to be informative, and of course you want to be entertaining also. So you can do that with your original content, or you can do it by sharing other people's content as well. So that's one tip, is to attract organic followers with the information that you post and you tweet out. Okay. And then the next one, go ahead, Thomas. I'm sorry.
Okay, you go ahead. I thought we were gonna go back and forth, maybe, but that's okay.
Would you like to tell them? You can tell them the next one. Go ahead.
I thought. Well, I like the one I like is I call it strive for clarity. I mean, right now we got the 140 characters, but you know your business. Be real clear when you read your tweets or whatever. Be sure you're clear in your messaging, right? Because sometimes, you can get, you start typing fast. You're like, oh man, okay. I know for me, I have to really kind of go back and read it 2 or 3 times, but I mean, strive for clarity. Just think about that, as well as, oh boy, I just lost my trend of thought.
That's okay. Sometimes that happens.
I guess I wasn't clear on my trend of thought here. Right. I guess.
Well, we'll just go to the next tip, and the next tip is to have Twitter buttons on your blog or your website. So, of course, we want people to stay on our website when they go there, but it's always nice to give your followers and your fans and your groupies. I call them groupies. We like to give them choices. So you want to have those listed on your website as well. And if you don't have it all over your website, you want to have it someplace there where people can contact you as well. And again, remember that customer service piece. Like you may have like a support page, but sometimes people don't want to use the support page. They're going to go straight over to Twitter, because people like using Twitter for customer service, and they're going to put their questions there on Twitter. So you have to think about that. So just put Twitter buttons on your blog and your website as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then next, also, you want to use like your email signature. So in your email signature, you can list your Twitter handle there as well. So you'll have your name. I have Elizabeth Hall, and then I might have Smart Office Help, social media agency, Twitter consultant extraordinaire, and then I'll have at Smart Office Help. So, and of course, I'll denote that that's my Twitter handle. But if you go to any social media, Smart Office Help is my handle there. So you want to have your handles and your email signature as well. So I hope you guys are writing this stuff down because we got just a few more tips for you. You can use your you can put your Twitter handle on your business card. So every time you give your business card out, it has your Twitter handle on it as well. So people can find you that way too. It's a quick and easy way for people to connect with you on social media. All right. And then also, if you put out a newsletter, so I have a newsletter that goes out, and in the newsletter, I have a way for people to contact me or connect with me on Twitter. So again, that's another way to grow your follower because that newsletter can be shared out as well. So when someone else gets it, then they can also they can follow you because they have all your information right there in the newsletter. And then you want to, of course, follow others. And we already kind of talked about that, following others. And people will follow you back. So if you have good information, your bio is filled out, you have actually good images that are not all stretched out and looking funky, and you don't look spammy, you got good content going, people will follow you back that way too. So you'll get some organic followers on that. Also, think about your traditional marketing materials, your printed materials. That's something you may not think about. Take your online offline. So if you have like some type of flyers, or maybe you have a brick and mortar store, you can have your Twitter handle posted in several areas around the store, on the door, on, could be on a receipt or something like that. Or again, maybe you're giving some kind of training. Make sure you give people your Twitter handle so they can follow you for more information. So that's a great way to pick up additional followers as well. All right. And then on other social networks, I participate on all the other social networks. And if you look on those, you'll see my Twitter handle is posted someplace on there. So if you go to the Facebook page, I have a tab for my Twitter for people to follow me over on Twitter. On Pinterest, I have images posted there as well, where people can follow me on Twitter. Google Plus, same thing. And so you can actually not kind of hammer people and say, hey, follow me over on Twitter, but, gently nudge them. Give them a choice. Give your groupies a choice. And I call people groupies that follow you on all the social networks. And you'll know who they are. I know who all my groupies are. And I'm a groupie for some people as well. I follow them all the networks. So you want to give your groupies some choices. And again, tweet often. Tweeting often is a great way to attract people. It just helps you to stay on the radar. And then one last one I wanted to kind of mention that people don't really think about is LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, there's a link there where you can put your Twitter handle there so people can follow you from LinkedIn. Because I always say it doesn't matter which social network that you participate on, you should always have a LinkedIn profile. Because that's kind of like your online resume per se. Us as business owners don't consider them to be resumes, but it really gives people a lot of information about what you do. So you want to have that online resume. So I just wanted to, before we get to the Q&As, for those of you that are still on, I wanted to tell you about the 50% off discount that I had. So I told you about the 50% off discount. And so does anybody need help with their Twitter? Anybody out there need help with their Twitter? And I'm not putting you on the spot. This is an interactive show. If you need some help with Twitter, there's lots of places that you can go, lots of recommendations. Does anybody want to get a discount on some easy Twitter training? Anybody out there, don't be afraid. I know I'm not talking to myself. If you need training, just put a 1 over in the comments, or over in the chat. If you need some easy Twitter training. All right. Well, I have an exclusive pre-Valentine's Day offer for you. And what this is, it has 120 minutes of easy to follow Twitter training. And you'll learn some of my top Twitter secrets. And, it's always good to invest towards yourself. Of course, there's no travel involved, and you can do this from your own office. And this can be used as a tax deduction because tax season is coming up. And this is also an ideal gift. After all, this is, Valentine's Day is coming up. It could be a great gift for somebody. And as a bonus, also, I'm including my Amazon listed Dig Deep Twitter Marketing Action Sheets guide and workbook, and plus more. So this is a huge package. Now, by the end of this training, you'll be able to save, precious time by optimizing your tweeting efforts, and you can easily promote your products and services. So this is a great way for you to effectively, make a workflow to maximize your return on investment when it comes to this training. And you'll be able to apply what you've learned immediately and see results, even a week after you complete it. So all of this, all of the above things I talked about, they're easily worth way over, $500 of my time. But what if I gave you 50% off of the list price? Would you be interested in getting 50% off of the listed price that I have on my website for this easy Twitter training? If you're interested, just put a 1 over in the chat if that would be something that you would be interested in. 50% off the listed price of this training is highly valuable. This is for today only. So for the next 2 hours only is limited. For anyone that wants the training that is here on this blab, they can get this for the small amount of $49. So that's it, $49, and you can get the training if you're interested. So if you are and you want to contact me, the only thing you need to do is just send an email to me at blab@smartofficehelp.com. We'll put the link over in the chat. So that's blab@smartofficehelp.com. And for the subject, just put, I want the discount. That's it. And this is only going to be good for 2 hours after this blab is over with. So it's for a limited time, and it's not coming around again on this one. So this is a nice, huge package. And again, just put blab, you see up over my head, think that way, up over my head, blab@smartofficehelp.com. And in the subject, just put, I want the discount. All right.
Yeah, we typed it into the feed.
Yeah, it's over. It's over in the chat already. So, so we're gonna go ahead and we are going to start answering some of you guys' pressing questions, and I'm sure we have lots of answers for you. So let's go ahead.
Yeah.
You want to start picking the questions,
have any
Thomas?
If you have any additional ones, just type in a \Q and space in your question. Okay, what do we have here? How do we keep up with all your followers? Question: How do you keep up with all your followers? Well, how I keep up with all of my followers, a number of ways. Yeah, I use lists, which we talked a lot about last week, Twitter lists, to kind of categorize and organize them. I'm very active on Twitter, so I do it like daily. Some people do it, every other day. Some people do it more. I do it daily because that's about the time I can allot for my business to do it for our followers. I also look at, like I say, all the things we talked about. I look at their profiles. I look at their feeds, and that's when we get back to this whole follow unfollow thing. But I manage mine. I would say the biggest tip I have is if I'm answering the question, how do you keep up with all your followers? I use lists. I use lists quite a bit and categorize them. And if you got 200 followers, it's not as big a deal. But when you start getting up, I have 32,000 followers. You have to kind of, organize them and say, okay, I have a list called influencers. Well, you basically guys can go to my site and I'll also say subscribe to other people's lists. You might find some out there that you're like, ooh, Ted Rubin had a nice list here, or Elizabeth Hall had a nice list. You might like some of my lists, so you subscribe to our lists and things of that nature. So I don't know, Liz, what would you say? How do you keep up with your followers?
Well, definitely, of course, in the beginning when I didn't have so many followers, it was kind of easy to track things. And of course, as you get more followers, like we have, over 30,000 plus followers now as well. And so it gets a little bit more difficult. So the good thing is if you have a small following right now, you can actually really kind of be targeted in the way that you organize your followers. And again, the absolute best way to do that is to use Twitter list. So you want to create the list and put people in there. Now, I don't recommend that if you already have, a gazillion followers that you try to go back and put people in specific lists. It's just going to be too time consuming to do that. So you don't want to do it, but like going forward, you want to actually kind of think about like the people. Remember, we're following relevant people. So why are you following this particular person? And maybe put that person into a specific list. So that's what I do for mine. So many of my lists are actually private lists. So if you look on my account, you won't see a lot of my lists because most of them are private lists. And we talked about the list on another show, so we're not going to go there. That's a whole show topic when it comes to that. But the best way, the short answer is to use Twitter list to really kind of keep up with all of your followers. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thomas, would you like to pick another one, please?
All right. Let's see. What's the next one here? It says, what signals do you use when deciding? What signals do you use when deciding what signals? This is from Nicholas. I may need a little help here on this. I believe, Nicholas, you're asking some of the things we talked about. If I see if I see somebody is very active, another thing for me, active. If I look and you haven't been active in 30 days, I know you're not really an active Twitter person, right? You're not. I mean, sometimes people get on vacation. Okay, I can see a week, right? But if you got 30 days of no activity, that tells me that Twitter, well, at least Twitter is not your platform. You may be active on LinkedIn, you may be on Facebook, you may be somewhere else. But so that's a little bit of I put them in. If it's somebody look like they got a decent bio, I might put them in a maybe list, right? But so when you say signals, when you decide, I mean, you obviously look at the bio, their feed, you look at their picture. I mean, their picture is huge for me, right? I'm looking for something professional looking. I'm not saying you always got to have on a suit and tie, but you're just something professional looking. What they're saying, I mean, about their business, because once again, your bio is your image to the world that doesn't know you, right? I mean, when they read that, they got to know what you do, what you're about. And if the bio and the feed and all this other stuff is not right, I mean, it's a non-starter. For me, it's just a non-starter. They're the signals I believe you're asking about, Nicholas.
Well, I want to add to that because there's a couple of pieces to the puzzle that you need before you can even think about what the criteria is. And the first thing is you have to know who your audience is. So you have to do a bit of figuring out what your goals are for using Twitter marketing to begin with. And then the second piece is you have to know your audience avatar. So does everybody understand what I mean by audience avatar? If you understand what I mean by audience avatar, put a 1 in the chat. So if you don't know what an audience avatar is, put a 2. So don't be afraid to put over there a 1 for if you know, a 2 if you don't know. Let's do it that way.
Okay, you got a few don't knows.
I think I might have said that a little bit backwards. I might have confused everybody, but I think y'all get the point. So the audience avatar is going to be the people that you are trying to help with your services and your products. Basically, those are the people that you're trying to attract to you. So you have to know a bit of your customer demographics, like what ages they are, what are their purchasing habits. You have to know a lot more about your avatar, and then those pieces of information. Well, the second piece, which I didn't mention, is your goals. You have to know what your goals are for using Twitter to begin with. So with those two pieces, then you'll know what type of information to post. You'll know what to look for on their profiles, what kind of maybe keywords that they have in their bios, what types of things are they posting. So it's just going to give you a wealth of information to go from the start. So you have to know what your avatar is, and then also what your goals are for using Twitter. And those two things right there dictates everything on your Twitter profile. So just keep that in mind. So I think that answers the question.
Okay. All right. We are getting to the top of the hour here. Let's see. Let's take this one here from Marvetta Holland. It says, what do you have? What do you have the creative? Make sure I understand this question. What do you have the creative entrepreneur that is wanting to grow their business and followers? What do you have the creative? I'm not sure I'm totally understanding Marvetta's question here. That is wanting to grow their business and followers. What do you
she's
have?
saying, what advice would you give, basically?
Okay, a creative entrepreneur. Well, we're at a lot of creative people.
Well, I think all entrepreneurs are kind of creative to begin with, but I think what she's asking basically is like, what type of advice would you give people to grow their business and their followers? And I think that's like, we probably answered a lot of that within just this blab alone when it comes to following people and growing your business, because if you don't have any followers on Twitter, then that means that nobody's going to listen to what you have. Now, as far as the creative part, I think when she's talking about creatives too, people who are like artists and filmmakers and musicians and producers and stuff like that. So everybody's industry is different. So those are like some of the things that we counsel people on. We give consultations on, because they're so specific when it comes to their particular industry. It's hard to just say right across the board exactly how to, how one would be, that's something that would be like a one-on-one call, basically. Because there's no general answer to that question when it comes to how because everybody is just different. We have to customize an answer for that.
You're right. You're right about that, Liz. I would need a consultation with Marvetta to really dig a lot deeper on what her business goals are and what she's trying to accomplish with Twitter or any social media, period. Because I mean, at the end of the day, everybody wants to grow their business and followers, but it's back to the relevant followers. It's back to the goal of your business and things of that nature, because it's different for an art gallery versus a bakery, right? So, it's just, we would have to have a consultation, Marvetta, to give you, I think, something actionable. But I mean, I could just talk generalities now, specifically around creative people and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to have a consultation with Liz and I, you can certainly DM us or, go to our websites or things of that nature. I'd be really more than happy to spend some time and just discuss your goals. And I know Liz would as well.
And also, for those of you that are kind of just coming on, we are in our Q&A session. If you all have any questions that are Twitter related, of course, please just put the /Q space and then put your question. We're answering questions right now. And also, this show today is just all about how to get more Twitter followers. And so we've discussed topics, and we're answering the questions in reference to that. Also, if you're just coming on, I just wanted to let you know that I put something special out there today, and that's my pre-Valentine's Day discount for Twitter training. And again, for those of you that missed it, that includes 120 minutes of easy to follow Twitter training. And also, you'll learn some of my top Twitter secrets that I use, ones that I share with people that I train every day and I use myself. And you always want to be able to invest in yourself because that's so important as a business. Your business can't grow if you don't invest in yourself. So you can also use this as a gift. This is the ideal gift for someone, another business owner as well. You can use this, you can give them this gift because Valentine's Day is coming up. This is a pre-Valentine's Day discount. So and as a bonus, I'm including my Amazon listed Dig Deep Twitter Marketing Action Sheets guide and workbook because it's all about action when it comes to my training and plus more. So this is going to end today. It's only going to be good for a limited time for 2 hours after this, and you'll get 50% off the listed price, which will be $49. Well, it'll be flat $49 for this particular course. And if you are interested in it, the only thing that you need to do is to just send me an email at blab@smartofficehelp.com. Again, that's blab@smartofficehelp.com. Again, just put into the subject line that I want the Twitter discount. Again, I'm sorry, it's $49.99. So I don't want to confuse you all. And that's for the pre-Valentine's Day discount. So sometimes I get a little bit tongue-tied. So y'all forgive me, please. All right, let's answer some more questions, Mr. Thomas.
All right, let's answer Kamari here. Kamari Ellis here. It says, Kamari says, what are the basics of building a following when you are new? Ooh, and I haven't got my glasses on. So when you have no idea of who your avatar is and your brand new to the platform. Oh, this is very interesting. This is a good question, Kamari. Well, I'll give you my rules and advice around that as well. Then I'll ask my partner in crime is to do it. I also noticed that Miss Eileen just came in the room. How are you, Miss Eileen? So what are the basics of building a following when you are new? Well, I mean, you gotta start. We all start somewhere. You have to start with, I would focus on my content. If I don't know who my avatar is, right, currently, I would focus on really, first of all, maybe stepping back, figuring out, okay, what is it I want? What type of business do I have? What is it I want want from my clients? And then at that particular time, I would even think about, maybe even surveying them, right? I mean, I would talk to people. I would even think before I got online, if I was in your position, I might just talk to people in the community, go to events and kind of talk to people. I don't know what type of business you're in, Kamari, and I would have to have a consultation with you to have a little bit more clarity on that. But I would start, getting some insight about what people want, right? I mean, what problems? I always ask questions like, what problems are they having, right, in their business? Like, say, if you got a paint store, if you're a landscaper, or if you're a social media person, I don't know if you're a lawyer, I don't know what you do. But at that particular point, think about it from a perspective of, what problems am I solving with my business? Am I saving time? Am I saving the people money? How am I adding value or giving them back some time, right? I mean, because a lot of business owners need time, right? I mean, they need some time. I mean, that's the premise of my business. I believe that our agency can save a business owner a tremendous amount of time instead of them standing up when they get home at night after they, work with their family and eat their dinner. They're up trying to do social media management, right? And stay up with Twitter and see if anybody said anything about them bad, if they're a restaurant or something of that nature. So we think we can save time, we can professionally manage. So understand also what is your value proposition. That's kind of what I would ask, and think about, is your business solving problems for people? And if it isn't, you may want to really rethink about the premise of your business, right? I mean, if your customer, even before you know it, doesn't see any value in your business, you don't. I mean, I don't know if people don't perceive that you're saving any money, time or whatever. They're not going to be willing to hand over their hard dollars to you. Now, on the idea about the avatar piece, I think for you have a lot more homework to do even before you think about an avatar, to be honest with you. It's nice to know who they are, but I think I'd step back and just kind of understand the premise of my business strategy. Do I have a viable business strategy and things of that nature? Then once you do, we can get into things talking about finding your avatar, finding that customer and things of that nature. Because some people start businesses without really doing that, right? I mean, am I solving any real problem for anybody and things of that nature? And then you'll find that, you're spinning your wheels basically.
Yep. Okay. So let's go to on the next question. And I want to find out if Eileen would like to come in. So I have a question I'm going to bring up, and I would like Eileen's opinion on this. Come on in, Eileen. Come on in. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm asking this question too. I'm asking this of her. All right. So we got Miss Eileen coming in. Thank you so much. Hello and good day.
All right, y'all gotta forgive me. We actually had a fitness blab. I was actually working out here on Blab 5 minutes ago. So forgive me.
Blab is awesome for that, aren't they?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. But real quick, before, I just wanted you to know that Kamari is actually what they call IRL in real life. He is my homeboy from Philly.
Oh,
family.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Kamari been doing the darn thing for a long time. He podcaster too, and he's into investments and all that stuff. So, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just didn't know what type of business he was in.
He's my buddy.
Well, I wanted to pull you in because I was looking at some questions, and I said, Miss Eileen, she has lots of followers too, and so do we. And so I wanted to get kind of an outside opinion. So we got this question from Credit Union Land, and he says, do you follow every single person that follows you on Twitter?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I well, for one thing, I have a little bit of a different Twitter strategy than a lot of folks. And you guys, Thomas and Elizabeth, you may have heard this before, so I'm sorry if it sounds like old news. But at one point, I was determined that I was not going to follow more than 1,000 people, because I felt like 1,000 people already is way too many people to follow. Mm-hmm. You can't keep track of them. Of course, I use Twitter lists, because I've been on Twitter since 2009. So lists, as time went by, lists became more important. And I use Hootsuite to monitor those lists and so forth. And it wasn't until I broke 10,000 followers that I I said, okay, enough with this. You had this rule for 6 years now. So you can break out of that rule now. And on top of that, Blab. Because I was determined, since so many people that come to Blab are not familiar with how to use Twitter, which is why this show that you guys do is phenomenal, because people only on Twitter because they want to be on Blab. They don't really know how to work it. And so that's why it's wonderful that you guys provide this resource. But I wanted to make sure that people got the right message when they saw me here on Blab. So I would follow them back. And I actually even have a Twitter list that I put my Periscopes, my Blabbers, because it's a live streamers Twitter list. But I absolutely do not follow back everybody that follows me on Twitter. And one reason that you have to be, in my opinion, you have to be careful of that is because sometimes, people are just, I don't know if they make fake accounts, if they call them Twitter bots, and you might think that, okay, this person, they sound like their profile sounds like they may be about, something I'm interested in. Then you go and look at their Twitter stream and there's promotion after promotion after promotion. And then you even have these people that randomly will tweet you and say, hey, did you see this? No, I don't know you. And I'm not going to look at this, and that's one of the things that they wanted to do is they want to follow people just to see if people will follow them back. And that's, to me, it adds to the noise. So that's the way I do it. If other people do it differently, that's fine. It's basically what you want to get out of Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I agree with all that.
I call those hanger-oners.
And we have a ton of questions. So we're going to answer some more questions. Thank you so much, Eileen, for jumping
You're welcome, guys.
Your opinion is so valuable, so we appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye now.
All right. Bye.
Thank you,
All right. So we're going to answer. We got lots of questions still, y'all. And I want to find out if Shannon wants to come in. She had just a ton of questions. And so we're going to answer some of her questions.
Yeah, she did have a lot.
All right. So we're going to answer this one from Marvetta, and it says, what advice do you have for, I think we answered this one already. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an answer. That's an answer.
I passed that one, so just hold tight. And
what about this one from Sergeant Chris Harris? Let them see the list to sort followers on Wes Warren.
Which one are you looking at, Thomas?
I was looking at the one at Sergeant. Here we go. I was looking at Wes Warren's and Sergeant Chris Harris.
All right.
A follower lot, then use lists to sort your followers. We already kind of answered that.
Would you say follow a lot, then use lists to sort your followers? And again, you have to be careful with trying to sort followers that you already have, because then you kind of like burning your time. So you want to kind of do these things kind of like ahead of time. Like while you're following people. And then, it's really up to you if you want to try to go back and try to get these people in lists, the relevant people, but you have to be really careful about your time because, as business owners, we don't have a lot of time. But I think we kind of answered the rest of the question when it comes to using list.
Yep.
One.
Okay.
Another question. And then I still wanted to put the olive branch out there to Shannon because she had like a lot of questions and we're trying to get to all the questions. We'll go ahead and answer her first one. Will you discuss the new additional characters change that is going to happen? So
she must be talking about the 10,000. She's about the proposed 10,000 character change. For me, when I first heard it, it was a little bit emotional for me, to be honest with you, because I felt like, and in fact, I think I called you, Liz. I said, you know what? I feel like Twitter is changing their character, right? It's just, it was the brevity was the kind of thing that you like, but there are times I can see. I guess my question was, why didn't they just go to 250 or 200? Why 10,000, right? But I don't know where that number came from, but I don't know. And once they implement it, I'm sure they'll have ways of brevity or ways you can expand it. So I would say wait and see, right, when it happens, and we might like it. because like I said, when I first heard it, it just seemed so dramatic. It almost sounded very Facebooky to me, like almost like Facebook. But I look at it from a business perspective, and that's the way we have to think about it. Twitter needs to, kind of reposition itself. It's great. It has Periscope and Blab. I think have been great for Twitter. With the connection with the Blabs and things of that nature. But they need to figure out some of the things that Facebook has done. I mean, even though we whine and complain about Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg and those folks have figured out how to monetize that thing. And let's face it, Twitter's a business. They have to figure out a business model where they can become financially viable, right? So, I mean, that's what I'd say about that, the 140 thing. I don't know, Liz, what you would add to
I
that.
agree with you on all those. I don't really have anything additional to add except for you just kind of have to wait and see. And again, we're all creative when it comes to using Twitter for our businesses. And so we'll see once it comes out. So we're going to go. We have like a lot of questions. So we're going to kind of run through questions, y'all.
Well, Liz, Shannon had a ton. Maybe we should invite her in.
Yeah, we did. But I think she left the room. So we're still going to try to get to her questions anyway. She may watch them on the replay. So here's the next question. How do you feel,
Carlos? How do you feel about Twitter ads? Well, I like Twitter ads. And from a perspective of in comparing them to like Pinterest, Facebook, and others, sometimes they can be a little tricky. I will say that. But any of them. You got to get to know. You got to use it. I always tell people to test it. Test 2, 3, 4, 5 amount, 2, 3, 4, 5 ads, maybe with small dollar amounts, right? Until you kind of get to know, unless you hire an expert or somebody with the expertise, because I don't like that word expert, with the expertise in your vertical, right? Like if somebody is really good at Twitter ads and things of that nature, and be honest with you, Twitter ads is relatively newer than some of the other ad platforms. So how I feel about it, I have not spent as much on Twitter ads as I have. I find that they're a little bit more of a bargain. Maybe that's what I will say than some of the other ad platforms. But maybe it's just me being cheap. But I don't know. I love them.
I would say that we're trying to keep this on the easy level for you guys. This is all about Twitter the easy way. And if you are just starting out using Twitter, then don't think about the ads just yet. The ads are actually kind of an advanced technique and something that could be looked at down the road if you're just starting out to using Twitter. So I don't really want to say too much about the Twitter ads because, again, there's just like some basic information that you need to know first before you even get to the Twitter ad part. So if you're not even at that stage yet, then it's really going to do you no good. You have to learn how to use Twitter first, and then really, gauge your audience, find out what they're receptive to, and then start working on Twitter ads. Again, that's kind of like an advanced technique. So we don't really want to go over that right now. All right, we're going to go to the next question because we got lots of questions going up. Okay, so this one is, all right. So this is says Charlotte 360. Do you get calls to handle social media emergencies as well? I once worked for someone who was so good that she was able to keep an attempted suicide out of the news.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'd like to get a call from you before it hits the fan. I would like that, but we have worked with people where it happened. I've also worked with people they didn't even know it was there, which I thought was interesting. They didn't even know it was that those reviews and those bad things was out. But no, I can't think I've ever done anything around suicide, attempted suicide, or things of that nature. When people get, bad raps, you want to keep the good stuff about them up front, right? I would say, on the first 1 or 2, 3 pages of Google, and you want to push all the bad stuff to the back, right? That's really the main thing. You can't really make it go away, but you want to push up, I'll just use like Peyton Manning, for example. He's had a stellar career. He had a little issue some time back, and but you want people to see him at Disneyland after he wins the Super Bowl, right, with his kids. That's what you want to see. So it's about managing the person's online reputation and making sure they're listed and just watching it and monitoring it, so things don't get out of hand, and you can talk to the prospective person that is actually given the bad review or after that person, because some of this stuff, people just go after people, and it's a shame, but there's a lot of kind of gold digger kind of people out there, and they want to just go after somebody with nothing, with really nothing behind it. And I mean, that's really all I got to say about that, I guess.
All right, so we're going to go to the next question here, and this one is okay. It says, what is the etiquette? Someone likes or retweets. Do you say thank you? Say thank you and like their like. Say thank you, like their like, and retweet. It can get awkward. Okay, so the fast answer to that, and I hope you guys understood the question because I did. Basically, she's saying like, what's the etiquette for thanking people for a retweet, or things can go back and forth. Now, the little hearts now that are likes, it used to be favorites. So if you hear anybody say favorites, it's the same as likes now. So it's that little heart that's on the tweet. So when someone retweets your tweet, you can just hit that little heart. And basically, there's a couple of reasons why people use the heart. Sometimes they use it as a bookmarking tool. So maybe they want to come back to that particular tweet and they want to, go to the link and get more information, but they don't have time. So they'll just hit the heart, and that way it will be in their, it'll be in their likes, so they can go back in, so they can use that as bookmarking. And then also when you hit that like, it'll also it denotes that that's a thank you right there. You don't have to say another word. You don't have to keep going back and forth. It's done. And again, like when you hit that like, that means it's the end of the conversation. So, so there's three things. So bookmarking, you want to go back to it. And the second thing is you just want to say thank you. And the third thing to denote the end of a conversation. So you can use the likes any kind of way that you like, though. But those three ways are kind of the normal etiquette ways. So we'll go to the next. We'll go to the next one. All right. And we'll go here.
And the only other thing I would say to Shannon, I usually just thank the person that retweets. I mean, the likes are, okay. That's good. I'm glad you liked it, basically.
All right, so we have, will you discuss strategies for Twitter lists? Actually, we talked about Twitter lists extensively on the last show. If you go to the replays, you can go to my profile or Thomas's profile. Oh, actually, I don't know if it'll be on your profile or not, Thomas. But if you go to the last profile, we talked about Twitter lists extensively on the last show. So you can go there and you can get all the information on there. So we'll go to the next question. Because we had lots.
Yeah, I think she had a ton.
All right. So we have, how does one get out of validation services? And my answer is, I have no idea. But Thomas, you might. Oh, and Thomas just went off the air. So Thomas actually used the validation services before. So I'm not sure, but there should be a way for you to opt out of using the validation services. Just like anything that you sign up for, you should be able to go into the settings, and it should be someplace in there where you can opt out of using that service. So you should not be locked in once you get in to using the validation services. And again, for those of you that are kind of coming on a little bit later, we talked about the validation services, and we recommend that you don't use them because it is a huge blockade when it comes to following or getting more followers, getting more of the right followers. So we still have a few more questions, but I just wanted to just let you guys know again, I've kind of showing a little blab love by putting out a pre-Valentine's Day discount for my ultimate Twitter mastery package. And so you can get that package for $49.99, and that's 50% off the listed price on the website. So if you are interested in that offer, then the only thing you need to do is to email me at blab@smartofficehelp.com. Again, that's blab@smartofficehelp.com. And the Smart Office Help is right up here. And the link is over in the chat as well. And put in the subject, I want Twitter discount, only $49.99. All right. That's only good for today, only good for 2 hours after this blab is over with, and then it's going away. So if you are interested, please make sure that you go ahead and email me right away so you can get that discount, because it's going away and it's not coming back. All right, so let's go to the next question here. We still have a few questions. I'm trying to get to all of them this time. We are out of time, but I'm gonna try to answer a few more questions. All right, so how can I prove my value as an influencer on Twitter? I have an opportunity to get paid by a new partner on building a brand presence in my niche. I have many connections, but no concrete proof of my media reach. So I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. How can I prove my value as an influencer on Twitter? That one is a tough question, because influencer is really a relative term. In my opinion, it all depends on who's using the influencer term. And you have to kind of look within your industry. What do you consider to be an influencer, and how are they showing their expertise? Because really, as an influencer, that's what it's all about, is you showing your expertise in that area. And some ways to do that, again, is to share content that's going to be useful and actionable to your audience. So you have to really think about that. Now, as far as the statistics go, really the statistics are only going to be on the engagement that you get, the impressions that you get. And again, you have to look at within your industry, what do people consider influencers? That's the only way that you'll be able to gauge that. And I don't think I really have an answer on how you can show show the partners that you're an influencer in that area, because again, it's relative when it comes to that. That one's a tough question, and probably outside of my lane. That's probably a more marketing question. Stiff marketing question there, because that could be across the board when it comes to trying to show proof as an influencer. Now, I wanted to again, we're accepting. We're trying to find out if anybody has any questions they'd like to come on and ask. We still have a few questions left, but I'd like to invite you to come into the seat. Recognize online. I know you were trying to get in a little bit early. If you want to come on into the seat, we'd love to have you. Or maybe Miss Tess, if you'd like to come in as well, we'd love to have you in the seat as well. And while we're waiting to see if anybody wants to come in, let's see if we can get to more questions here.
Alexander's coming in.
Mr. Alexander. Hello, how are you doing?
Good. Love the topic. Great Blab today. I'm fairly new to Blab, and one thing that I've noticed, just Blab has increased my Twitter followers. Basically, I didn't really mean for it to, but I had in the last 2 weeks probably 300 or 400 new Twitter followers. So that's, I guess, one strategy you can use. Just do Blabs and jump on Blabs and start interacting with people. That's worked for me in the last 2 weeks.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for coming in the seat and find out, how has the information on the show kind of helped you so far?
It's helped me a lot. Yeah, I've been on Twitter for some time, but for years, I think I got my account in 2008, and basically didn't do anything with it for 3 or 4 years. Didn't do anything with it. And it hasn't been up until, I guess, the last 2 years that I've really kind of started to use it. And really, I think I get most of my news from Twitter now. It's kind of the source that I use for most of my news, doing research and things, and it's helped me keep up with, the industry that I'm in. So
did you have any questions that we didn't answer so far?
Well, I think you guys had mentioned it earlier. List. Is there a way to create sublists in lists?
There's no way to do sublist, unfortunately. It's just, it's just a straight up list, and you can't kind of break things down, unfortunately. You have to do that with a separate list.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be kind of nice.
Now you can have people on more than one list as well. So even though you can't kind of have like that sub list, you can still have a separate list and have that person on two lists. So you can do it that way. So we lost Mr. Alex, unfortunately, but I hope he still heard the full answer to the questions. So we're going to keep it moving. Let's see. I think we might have a few more questions.
I noticed Evangelos just came in. How you doing, Evangelos?
All right. So we have, will you discuss how to engage people with polls, types of questions to ask for our target audience? Now that probably would be a good topic for us to address on a different show, because that might be a little bit long. Now, for those of you that don't know, the polls are that's kind of a new feature with Twitter. That just came out like late last year for the polls, and they're really highly useful, and you can kind of use them randomly. I haven't found any third-party software that actually handles polls where you can schedule them out, so you would actually have to do it kind of in real time. And what the polls are, of course, is just as the name suggests. You can type out a tweet, you can put a question on there, and then you can put some options for people to select. And the polls actually last for 24 hours. They have a life of 24 hours. And after that, they go away. But you'll have access to the results of the poll. And also the people that answer the poll, they're answering anonymously. So you won't know who answers the polls, that particular question. So I hope that answers Shannon's question.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I think that could be a blab in itself, really. How to use polls and types of questions and target audience and retargeting. But it's basically a survey or a poll, right?
Yeah, but that's a great question too for your target audience. So it's important
Is there any
to figure out what they want to hear from you, just like we did as well. We want to find out what people want to hear from you. So you can ask questions that just your customers ask you every day. So you could probably have a long list of those. So you just get your notebook and do some brainstorming and just have all your questions listed out. And then, maybe once or twice a day, you can send out a Twitter poll and get some good feedback, because that's
Yeah. I mean, you might ask your community, what else could you do? You may want to even segment it to just your customer list, right? Which is your private customer list. You might want to say, what else could we do for you that would be of value? Because you may be thinking about another product or service offering, and I wouldn't do it in a vacuum. I would get some feedback from my customers and colleagues and things of that nature.
Yep. So we have this last question here, and it says opinions on automated thank you apps. And I don't know how I feel about that. It depends on what you're thanking people for. I am a fan of automation. But you have to use automation for good, because automation can sometimes get out of hand. I don't like the direct messages where the robots just automatically give an answer. I don't like that. And I don't know about the thank you, because that could be kind of impersonal too. You post something and somebody just says thank you. I guess it's the way or the manner that is automated in, because we all want to save time, but personally, I don't use automation apps for thanking people for something, because I think you should make that a little bit more personal when you're thanking people. Let them know what you're thanking them for. So that's where I kind of stand on the thank you apps. What about you, Thomas?
I agree. Yeah, it's just too impersonal. It's just, it sounds very robotic. I mean, I just want to be. I guess it's how you define engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how you define engage, and think about it more from a perspective that if you're the person receiving it,
Mm-hmm.
if I sent you out say you followed my feed and you said I liked it or you did a retweet, then the next thing I got from you, I sent you something else and you said just thank you, and I'm thinking, okay,
Yeah.
well, all right, and then every time I got something back from you, it said thank you, right? I mean, it kind of shows a little bit impersonal, and it's like you didn't really read it. It's like you really didn't care. That's the way I would look at it.
Yep, I agree.
But anyway.
All right. So
I think for
we've
today,
answered all the questions and we've given you guys like some fantastic tips on how to get more Twitter followers. And so with that, make sure that you subscribe to our next show. We'll have the link over in the chat. So the next show will be coming up. Same time. It's going to be on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we put the link over in the show notes. So all you have to do is just go over there and subscribe to the next show, because we always give fantastic information on all our shows, and it's all Twitter related as well. And again, don't forget that pre-Valentine's Day offer, 50% off of the Ultimate Twitter Mastery Package with a bonus of my book, Dig Deep, Twitter Marketing Action Sheets Guide and Workbook. That's only going to last for the next 2 hours. So make sure that you email me at blab@smartofficehelp.com to get your discount, and make sure that you put in the subject, I want the Twitter discount, only $49.99. And so with that, me and Thomas, we are going to sign out. It's been great having you all here, and we will see you on the next Smart Twitter Talk.
Yeah, thank everyone for coming. We really appreciate it, and hope to see you guys again next week.